Hey folks, this is Lawrence with another edition of Fellowship of the Father, and we're going to talk about entering into the halls of wisdom. Entering into the halls of wisdom. What does that mean? So you think about great thinkers in the Bible, and one that comes to mind would be Solomon. And they say he's one of the wisest men that ever lived. He ended up being one of the richest men that ever lived. So he figured some things out at least. And some people would argue that he was a big sinner and blah, blah, blah. But we are going to talk about wisdom and entering into the halls of wisdom. And so, first of all, let's go ahead and approach a couple things. So one thing I would talk about is one of the keys to constantly learning is learning how to be humble. And this is one of the trickiest concepts that I know is because life is not straightforward a lot of times. So there'll be some snares in life that we don't understand. Maybe we have to take our lumps forward to begin to understand them. And one of them would be how to be humble. So I have a good friend of mine that he mentioned the one thing that occurred to me back to me, and it gave me hope because I began to understand that I'm not crazy in my thinking. So one of the things he said is the minute you become humble and you're aware of you being humble is the minute you are no longer humble, right? So I think it's funny when we start a prayer by saying, Lord, we come to you humbly. It's like, we come to you humbly? How do you say that about yourself? That'd be like saying, God, I thank you for how handsome I am. I'm the most handsome man on the planet, and too bad these people that are around me are so ugly. And it comes across the same way, to me at least. How can we possibly assess ourselves as humble? Makes no sense. So that's one snare I'd say as you're entering into the halls of wisdom. Understand that when you begin to think that you know it all, it's very similar to the humility analogy, is that if you think you know it all, you probably don't know much. And you probably just got excited because you learned a little something, And even that something could be tainted, right? So let's talk about the halls of wisdom. And I had alluded about this on a previous video, but some things should probably be reinforced. So here's the deal. When you'll have a realization, it's like you're struggling through your life. What is it? What is it that I'm not understanding? What is it that I'm not understanding? There's something I'm not understanding. And then all of a sudden, a light bulb will come on. And think about that as a bit of a milestone. It's just like, okay, you've arrived at this place. Not you've arrived, but you've arrived at a milestone in your life. Before, my life was about pleasure. Before, it was like, hey, let's just find out what life's about. Let's bounce off some walls. And now I'm learning to be more regimented, more disciplined. I'm learning to think things out more, use more in my head, work smarter instead of working harder, right? So you start arriving at these milestones. So that's the way that wisdom works as well. You'll know you're kind of reaching day one of your evolution in wisdom, not because you're going to walk into a room and everything's in your head. That's not how it works. It's the exact opposite. Matter of fact, you're going to walk into a room. This is a figurative room, by the way. This is not actual room. But you're going to walk in. You're going to have an epiphany. And the epiphany says this: I don't know all the things that I don't know. There is far more that I don't know than what I do know. And when you reach that point, it does two things. It scares you like no one's business. But it also is a big relief because now you don't have to be pretentious about what you know. You just have to know that the work is now beginning. You roll up your sleeves, and now you can get to work, and you could actually begin to learn. And that's what happens in the halls of wisdom. The wise old man on the road, in like say the Hobbit movies, the movies Lord of the Rings, the long-haired beard guy, he doesn't know much more than the guy on the road. All he knows is that the guy on the road might not know that he doesn't know, right? Maybe he has a couple tricks up his sleeves on how to survive. But he's not the end-all, know-all grand poobah. He doesn't know it all. He just knows a little bit more than the guy that doesn't know anything, that probably thinks he knows everything. And that's what makes him wise. That's what makes him a wise old man, is that he gets to look at people bouncing around off the walls thinking they know everything when all of us don't know hardly anything, right? So that's an important thing to know as you go forward. It's like men are not the same as women, and men have a huge burden to carry. At any given time, you're supposed to figure it out. At any given time, you're supposed to find your way out of these situations. You're supposed to guide your family through the woods. And it's all built on instincts, and they're not female instincts. They're instincts from all the years of taking in information. And you might be wrong, and that's a huge burden. And it's a burden that the people on the outside feel as well. What if he's wrong? What if he was wrong that one time? Do you remember that one time when he was wrong? Do you remember when he took that turn that really was devastating? And it's like, yeah. You know why you know that about me making that wrong move? Because you're not paying any attention to any of the wrong moves you're making. You're just staring at me living my life trying to figure it out. It's like, if you're a man and you're doing that with other men, it's like, what are you doing, man? Live your own life. Figure it out. Figure it out, guys, right? So that's it. The halls of wisdom. How do you know when you're in the halls of wisdom? When you begin to realize you don't know everything you don't know, right? So what's a iconic moment you can pick up? If you're anywhere near my age, there used to be a show called Happy Days. And there was there's this figure, his name was Arthur Fonzarelli, right? And every guy wanted to be Arthur Fonzarelli because Arthur Fonzarelli got the chicks, right? And so his outer exterior was like, hey, I'm in control. Hey, I'm in control. And that whole show was basically based on the concept that you had the exterior guy, the guy that looked good from the outside, and then you have the nerdly guy, which is Cunningham, Richard Cunningham, right? And he was the brains. He was the brains of the operation, right? So whenever Fonzie didn't know the answer, he'd go up to Cunningham and he'd say, hey, Cunningham, I need a little piece of advice. And so that was one thing that shows you this whole ego thing. You know, the ego is an inflated situation that we all have to deal with. For some reason, God instilled ego in us. We have to manage that. But we also need to manage our wisdom. And so there's times where we just have to say, I don't know. And that's one of the things that this character, Fonzie, would always say. He said, like, I was wrong, right? He couldn't even say it. And now here we are, approximately 50 years later from that show, and the country is full of everyone saying the same thing. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say I was wrong. I take no wrong turns. It'll work out. Everything's going to be fine. I'm sure. This is just a bad day. I'm sure it'll work out, even though everyone's left, and even though my account's empty, and even though they just took my car away, and even though I'm facing charges, I'm still right? That's not how life works. We're supposed to be looking at the red flags of our own life and entering into the halls of wisdom and understanding we don't know what we don't know. And so that opens up a whole new adventure in our life. We can drop the burden of knowing and get on to the knowing. And it's just a different life. It's a different reality, and it makes life so much better. And you don't have to carry this facade that you know when you don't know. So anyway, that's how I perceive the halls of wisdom. If you have any comments, go ahead and put them in the comments section. Like, share, and subscribe, and please help me grow the channel, folks. This is a world where a lot of people don't even have fathers. Some people don't even have fathers, and if they need a little wisdom here and there, that'd be nice to give them the wisdom. Pass little tidbits of information, and we grow together as a community. So anyway, like, share, and subscribe. This is Lawrence with Fellowship of the Father, and I hope you have a great week, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.